Joining us now to discuss BTC price and more is ProChain Capital President David Tawil. David, we're seeing a boost in retail activity thanks to those NFTs. Is that going to have any effect on Bitcoin price?
It seems to be booming the price a little bit. I think it's, it's good to see Bitcoin being used and utilized, A, by retail, and B, for something other than just store of value. And I think that, the maelstrom going on right now with respect to Paxos, BNB, Kraken, with respect to the enforcement and regulatory crackdown, the fact that we've been able to hold this price here above 22,000 has been remarkable, frankly.
What's your view of, we did see the Bitcoin price rise earlier this morning. Why do you think we're seeing a bit of a bounce in Bitcoin step?
I think it's just correlated to risk assets, which are doing pretty well today in the broader market, in the equity markets. So I think that that's been helping things out. But the fact that, crypto assets have been able to stay steady with the macro tide and not be hurt by what's going on in regulation land. And also with respect to today's hearing, I thought it was a pretty negative hearing, frankly, in the Senate Financial Services Committee. I believe that we're seeing resilience here. And frankly, even if it dipped down, to close to 20,000, I'd still say that Bitcoin is showing, resilience. And if in fact we're able to keep 20,000 over the next, I'd say probably month or two, which is when I expect most of the crackdowns to go ahead and come, allegations by regulators against other quote unquote violators in their eyes. If we're able to keep a price of 20,000 on Bitcoin, crypto has clearly succeeded in doing what it's had to, work through the hardest period of time. And I think we'll see upward trajectory from there.
All right, so you mentioned today's Senate committee hearing, Senate Banking Committee hearing, and earlier we spoke to the Crypto Council of Innovation's Brett Quick there, and she had more of an optimistic view, but what was your view of what went down during that meeting?
I saw it being very much as a soapbox for the detractors to come out and say, we told you so, look how much money was lost. We even had an academic on the committee that said, as one of the witnesses, that essentially said, crypto is worthless. It's one big Ponzi scheme. So I think they brought witnesses to go ahead and support their views. I think that everyone talked about, we need regulation. We have to protect the investor, the little investor. There needs to be, full disclosure in plain English and so on. But there were very few real ideas that came out, except for some, discussion around stablecoins and what, proof of assets or audits should look like. But beyond that, it was really just railing against crypto, frankly, talking about crypto in mass, that they are securities and they need to be regulated by the SEC.
Where do you think the conversation goes from here?
I think like most things in our Congress, it goes nowhere. I think we'll see more of the same out of the SEC. I think we'll see regulation by enforcement. But again, if the market continues to hold up in price, frankly, this White House will eventually change. Makeup of the Senate and the House will eventually change. The SEC commissioner will eventually change. And I think, yes, it's a longer timeline. But at the end of the day, the innovation will continue to push forward. And frankly, the one thing that on today's hearing I wholly endorse is the fact that if the U.S. does not get itself together, there are jurisdictions around the world that are going to sprint ahead of it or already are ahead of it and are going to make the gap that much greater. And I think on that score, frankly, lots of folks in Congress do not want to be found on the wrong side of history when it comes to the innovation here.
All right, I see where you're going with this, but maybe some of the lawmakers have a point here. I mean, earlier we spoke about some of our top stories, and Three Arrows Capital is launching OPNX, Open Exchange, where they're going to try to, make a profit off of a trading platform for bankruptcy exchanges, including their own. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, my background actually is in bankruptcy and restructuring much earlier in my career, both as a lawyer and then as an investor. And I've been involved in the trading of bankruptcy claims. Certainly, the trading of those claims provides liquidity to those investors that have been hurt and want to go ahead and get out. I think the more interesting aspect of what Three Arrows Capital founders are looking to do is they're looking to tokenize it all. I think it's a lot of hype. I don't think they'll get much traction. I think they'll build the mousetrap. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to play into their hands. I think there are already broker dealers out there like Jefferies that are peddling claims, and then there are exchanges as well that are already trading claims. So the fact that claims will eventually migrate towards this open exchange, I don't know if it's really going to go ahead and happen. And frankly, because of the bad rap that Three Arrows Capital already has, I'm betting a lot of folks are just going to go ahead and stay away. They said the interested number of parties, in the application is somewhere around 6,000. To me, that doesn't really scream like there's going to be much by way of activity.
Yeah, still incredible that they were able to raise $25 million for this venture. Just want to circle around to inflation data. It came in hotter than expected, rising in January about 0.5% in the first, as well as 6.4% on an annual basis. Any impact that will have on the crypto markets going forward and the upcoming FOMC meeting?
So, Christine, I think I'm not the first, I won't be the last to say, higher for longer. I think the Fed is going to continue to raise rates. I think that we punished them on getting it wrong previously, saying that it was, transitory. So I think they're going to stick to their guns here and, err on being conservative and therefore raising rates. Unless, the economy falls into, a massive recession, I think they're going to see how far they can take a high rate level for an extended period of time. I don't expect, frankly, I don't think that the recession is going to be that deep, and therefore I don't expect that rates are going to be cut anytime within the next 3 years. So I don't think that money is going to shift out of fixed income and into risk-on assets all of a sudden, inclusive of crypto, and then we're going to just see prices fly. I think we need to go ahead and focus more on the fundamentals in terms of the growth, as opposed to price inflation coming from low rates once more, coming across everybody's bank accounts.
All right, seeing high chances of a 25 basis point rate hike at the next FOMC meeting after this inflation report. David, thank you so much for joining us. That was ProChain Capital President David Tawil.